unless otherwise notified. So always keep an eye on the community tab, because I do update you through the community tab. So by clicking that bell, you get the updates and you know when I'm coming live. So yes, I'm recovering from my dental. I am feeling a lot better. So the last zodiac sign is getting uploaded, and tonight they will be launched. So it'll be this evening, and I'll be getting on to the next set of romance reads. Now I have pulled the cards for Divine Masculine. Bear with me, just the next video I've saved. And I've got one more to do. So, okay, where would I start? Number one, for those of you that don't know, hi Eddie, hi Giggle, hi Char. I am a twin flame guide. I've been on the journey over 20-something years. I'm in union at the moment. We're going through one of those heavy transits. I won't lie to you, this will feel like you're in the waiting room waiting for a diagnosis. I'm just saying, it's one of those months. Also, twin flames, you guys are always joint in your auric field, so you're going to feel the intensity. Number one, the reason is, and I was talking to Giggle about this the other day, obviously when you're MIA and you're unwell, you can't really come live. I did, but I wanted to give a whole lot more. By the time we reach the eclipse in Sagittarius, and even before that, so it's going to start coming through in October, guys, this Mercury retrograde is going to be a pivotal point in your twin flame path. And it is because Jupiter in Pisces, which is already coming through in Divine Masculine's energy, crown chakra, you need to keep hydrated. The nervous system, the intensity is coming through because they're about to move ahead. Now, we did have for 2.5 years the South Node in Sagittarius, which is masculine, okay? The masculines were technically in a holding space, transforming and changing and really looking at their routines, having to be everything. And it was like a pressure cooker. So that pressure cooker is serving a purpose, but it's coming to a peak point now. And especially because the North Node is Gemini, which is really the North Node of what they had to learn. And we've got Mercury retrograde. It's really hitting their natal energy very heavily. So initially it can look quite ugly. So you're going to get the 3D, you'll get the headaches, you'll be getting confusion, distortion, emotion, you'll be purging it. And we have to descend before we can ascend. So feminines, you could be in that holding space right now. Now, some of you could have already gone through that. They had to be placed in this circumstance so that old habits would go that didn't resonate with them. It was so they could reach complete soul closure. And next year, this is a huge growth year for them, especially because they'll be very, very deeply focused on duality. Their value systems that they had to face in a shadow was them facing their lineage. And so there was a lot of lineage coming up over the last 2 years for them. It might have been your age bracket. It might have been, you know, the conditioning of their family, their value systems, religion. And now it's almost like they had to really go over that old ground to come to a new place of where they stand. Now they're coming through the gate at the moment in the month of October with Amethyst. And this can be a very psychic energy that you guys are going to be tuning into in the next few weeks. Now, I did pull a set of cards for the Karmic to check where they're at, and a set of cards for Divine Feminine. But the most important part is seeing where they're at. And I think the reason I'm saying that is I can see through the cards already is that that peak point is already becoming extremely visual through their cards, which does mean if they were in a karmic situation or currently are, it's really reaching a peak point. And this is one of those months that if something isn't meant for us, it will be moved and shifted. I do feel at the moment they're really getting to a point where they're facing situations that are quite difficult. This can be people, places, and things, but they're facing it. They're not running from it, and they're feeling in order to move forward, it's the only way they can actually deal with it. I also feel, spiritually speaking, it's almost like when you do get to that awakened state, once you have that connection in with your counterpart, it's very difficult to shut off. So psychically speaking, many feminines have, really articulated that we do feel their energy. And so by no means when you reach that final stage, is it something you're wanting? It's more, it's there. It's something you can't disconnect from on the psyche. This is where they're physically having this acknowledgement that nothing they do, even their prejudice and their values, it's not stopping them from directly, it's like they're feeling they're being their own worst enemy. I do feel they were making sense of it, but they also felt that they were going to be bringing stresses towards you, but then they've kind of accidentally attracted that inside their life regardless. And then with the thought being that they are really spiritually connected to their counterpart, this is them actually facing those things and doing the cleanup. Now, I do feel within the karmic cycle, they almost, the fears that they had inside of the connection with you, they're now having that with the karmic, and they're feeling that they also could not be the island for this person. For some, there was an element of codependency. For some, it's very critical in nature. So there can be fights and conflict and expectations coming through. And they feel, ultimately speaking, they're on two different pages at the moment. I do feel some of them are not talking to the karmic at all, and there's a cutoff and there's like a blockage happening. But the blockage is a physical choice where they're directly not wanting to talk about the past anymore. Ironically enough, on the opposite side of the spectrum, they're really wanting to talk to divine feminine. This can be because there is stresses, but they're wanting to say what this is, how they feel. They are stressed and wondering how it's going to go, but they do feel it has been a heavy cross to bear. So the ironic thing is, it's almost like they're wanting to talk to their counterpart, but they're having more, they feel, and this can be to a degree, it can be a little bit problematic, but not for too long. Because if there is an avoidance and they're not wanting to deal with that other human being and say, look, it's over. I feel for some they already have done that and it's gone on deaf ears. I'm seeing through the cards, it's like this, you know, within the connection, it served a purpose at the time, but they actually have outgrown each other. This is a cycle where, you know, it's almost the comfort. You know, for some it can be a friendship. It's that they're fallen into a comfort zone and it's kind of caused stagnancy in their own lives. So they're having to face their shadow inside of that, but they're also realizing that it's not serving a purpose anymore. I do feel with some of the wounds, it's sort of, how do I put it? They're speaking so quickly, it's just pouring through me. For some, there may have been a toxic connection, and this might have been codependency or substance. I feel this is being purged, though. I feel it's no longer a, you know, a vibe that each individual has. It's sort of something that the divine masculine has outgrown, and it is because of the transits in Pisces. So from that full moon in Pisces, you may have really been experiencing some linked energy from where they're transforming from. So with that, I'm kind of seeing they might have gone through that dissension and felt very disillusioned, maybe gone back into old habits, but then realized it wasn't really working for them. And I do feel with individuals around them, the deep meditation that they've had, they feel that they were letting themselves down. So it's like it doesn't resonate with them any longer. I feel initially their psyche was to close the door correctly, but I also feel they were well aware. It was almost like in divine feminine's life. You'll find that when you went through a separation, this can be with a soulmate or a karmic, you might have felt that you healed from it and moved forward. And then it was almost like somehow subliminally, these people then came back into your life. It was so that you could not avoid the emotion of hurt, despair, and so you could look at it from a different angle. And I feel that's sort of what happened to divine masculine. The forgive and forget card is coming up. So anything of a tedious nature that is coming up that is taking ever so long for them, I'm telling you, it's like a rebirth. They're kind of getting to the point where they are going to become that phoenix rising again. And I feel it's through these Scorpio transits, and especially as Pluto goes direct. What day does Pluto go direct? You're going to feel it. It's going to be, you're going to feel it big time. This can be emotionally for the spiritual connections. Feminine's going to need to keep extremely grounded. The forgive and the forget, whatever they're having to go back to, I feel even if there is a pause in the communication sense between the karmic and the masculine, I feel they're both facing the reality of what could have been and what wasn't. But I do feel ultimately inside of divine masculine, this has helped them directly realize who they are to the core, not what other people want them to be, but really to the core of who they are, separate to all people involved. And this is where they're operating from their highest frequency. I also feel in their heart they had been pulled in two directions, one from a critique point of view of what society wanted them to do, and one from a point of view of what their heart truly is. Ultimately speaking, you know, this has made them correct their ways. It's also made them correct the way they see the world. And it's not that they're incorrect people. It's that our viewpoints and values within the twin flame connection is constantly transforming us. I think they're moving forward. I'm noticing the R coming up on the correct. And yes, during retrograde, it's an R, you know, we're having to go back to go forward. And it does feel like that. It kind of felt like they were going back and forward. They were left and right. They were, okay, yes, I am, no, I'm not. Like I said, what I'm being shown is physically that they were forced to go back to a situation at a point, be it psychologically or physically, so that they could actually see it from a different angle, close it out, make peace with it to move forward. And I do feel this direct is going to be flying like a bat out of hell. I really do feel it's going to be moving very quickly. They directly at the moment through this are taking a complete break from the karmic. And I feel for some of them, they have shut the energy down. They've physically shut the connection down. They have reached their pivotal point. So they might have been trying to negotiate that. Some, it might have been through a separation. Some, it might have been, you're going to feel it through the whole month, Dale. You'll feel it until we get to, we'll talk about it a little bit to the end, and I'll give you some heads up about the astrology. The next video I will be doing is the new moon in Libra, which will discuss the astrology aspects, and it'll give you a key point per zodiac of how it's going to play out for each of us. So directly speaking, the masculines are raising their vibration, and that is because the planets are about to take them on a joyride out of Hades and forward. This is where they're realizing in order to be as above as below, so quite literally, things that are going down for a reason, and they're having to rise above it. They're having to correct and clean things up. Hi, sweet, but it's for a bigger reason. Now, number one, the way they're looking at you, yes, they're stressed. Yes, they're worried. Yes, there's a lot on their plate, but yes, they're spiritually feeling a lot of your turmoil at the moment. But they have actually put high benchmarks on what they need to achieve in a very short space of time. And this can be where reunions start coming in between now and January. And I really do feel near the eclipse, the key point is, you know, many of us in the twin flame path tend to think, oh, wow, you know, we're going to be in reunion. But the crazy thing is, what do we do when we get there? And that can be the really challenging part, because we actually have changed. And so spiritually, at the moment with Mercury retrograde, it's making us feel very nostalgic, very depressed, very, there's no possibility. It's because we're facing our shadows inside these circumstances and potentially even feeling extremely imbalanced. I do feel masculine at the moment understands that feminine is learning and is very independent. So they're comparing the notes but seeing it as a very attractive thing. They also feel in their head, they logically know that you have enough stress as it is and you're not their babysitter. They kind of are coming through looking at it thinking that they do need to make changes and it's not your job to do such. So the changes they're making are the way they relate to you. And I do feel this can be a candid conversation. They also feel they need to have one-on-one with you, and they may need to remove particular people out of their life so that this can be a success. So in their heart, they feel people in the past had interfered in the connection. But again, it was permission-based because it was things that they felt internally. It was merely the shadow that was shown to them. So now where they're at, they're feeling they need to actually be in their truth. So the emotions of what they're thinking is the psychic connection between masculine and feminine. I do feel a lot of times they're feeling the ebbs and flows of your feelings. But as soon as you tune out, this is where it's almost like the holding gate is open and they're allowed to communicate with you. Your guides operate in very unique ways. And when your vibration is really low or tuning into it and trying to problem solve, we're in the masculine frequency. So the masculine won't move directly towards you. As soon as you shift that perspective over to yourself, you directly find that you will get contact with your divine counterpart. So the advice would be for divine feminine at this point is if you had been going left and right with it, if you're receiving something from the meditation, that's fine, but then tune out of it and try and push the energy into your life of where you're feeling the tension points and the instability. And trust me, as soon as you do that, I'm telling you. Let's see. Yeah, there's a lot to do with the past, guys. So divine feminine is all, at a point, and Giggle and I were talking about this morning, in the past when you felt that you hadn't said everything you needed to, you go through the 7 stages of healing. We've got the chakras going up and down, and then you reach the crown again. Now, as Jupiter goes direct, it is in the house of Aquarius, so we can have a lot more social responsibilities. We're also going to have Pluto be going direct. And it can feel like the whole world's coming at us. It's a little bit like the big bodies of the planets are moving ahead. And Mercury is helping us become even more confused. But the good thing is, universe has a very synchronistic way of working with the astrology and the twin flame connection to help us gain success out of that situation. I feel, where there is disappointment, there is something to gain. So don't feel you're going to not have anything. Don't feel, look at it more as a story that you don't resonate with anymore, and tune into the vibration of who you are now without feeling that means you're not going to get something, because you actually are. The change of tracks is coming for feminine, so the anxiousness can come up, and it is going to be in both sides. But I am seeing through the cards of divine masculine that this potential, I'm going to pull a chakra card, and then I'll get into the super chats, and I may through the week come to you live again. I'm still live this Friday. I'm trying to get ahead of all the content and get ready for 2022 during Mercury retrograde. Not smart, right? Let's see. What is this? How are they feeling at the moment relating to communication with divine feminine? I do feel ultimately they are avoiding a conversation with the karmic. Some of them have already made their statement. Towards feminine, you're feeling their emotions, okay? They're thinking about you. So the psychic attacks are there, but it's more because they're experiencing that. As soon as you tune out of them, it does cause panic in their auric field, because you guys are quite jointed in the initial stages through your ascension, just prior to reunion. It's like you're purging the spiritual 5D codependent connection. And as you stop trying to problem solve for them, this is where the shift in the connection actually happens. But it's very difficult at that last stage to do such. And when you do, you actually do see that on both sides of the fence, you're both getting into that yin and yang, and that's where the physical movement happens. Physically speaking, there's a lot of old emotions coming up. There's a lot of memories. They're trying to manifest something really healthy, but they're scared that maybe they've really mucked it up. But I do ultimately feel some of their aura is due to people that were around them, and they're choosing to spiritually protect themselves where they didn't. And I do feel this can be actually removing themselves out of toxic environments so that they can raise their vibration. Okay. New moon in Libra communication, please. We'll check in again. It can shift. Okay, yeah. I do feel there can be a heart-centered conversation, but I also feel the direct connection with the karmic is being dissolved. Yeah, being dissolved. There had been healing. I do feel this other individual doesn't want such to happen. And some of them do, but it's more they're not really seeing eye to eye with certain negotiations. Yeah, it can be to do with money, but it also can be to do with traditions and values. Garnet is very tradition and orientation. But I do feel, like I said, Sagittarius, South Node for divine masculines, any old restricting values, They've had 2.5 years to actually assess that. It's not going to define them anymore. So it's really going to be, they'll honor the vibration of who they are with their value systems, but they're also going to have their own vibration to visually see what is correct for them. Any super chats? This is where they're at. All right. I thought I'd have a quick check-in, but very unique how it's moving, and do get super grounded, because by the time we do reach the eclipse in Sagittarius, and I see that even happening beforehand. I see it well and truly happening beforehand, and pretty much through here to January, there are portals where this communication can come in, but directly how we deal with those circumstances, and if both twins directly have purged enough to be in that duality, is the real question. Any super chat questions while I'm here? Otherwise, I'll love you and leave you and do the other videos. I'm live again on Friday. We also have the Twin Flame updates Wednesday. I believe it's this week. Don't quote me. I'll have to look at my schedule. My calendar tells me. I just do videos. It's Mercury retrograde, forgive me. In Libra, of all things, right? Anything about my relationship with masculine? Are you in the second level of the members? I put the Leo zodiac sign up, so all the zodiacs will be done. You've got to go listen to it. Very triggered. Okay, at the moment, I feel it's to do with, I feel the aura between both of you at the moment is protective. So you do feel like you want to say a lot, but you're really trying to hold your tongue. And that can be potentially because we are having emotions relating to the subject and frustrations, but also second guessing ourselves. I feel at the moment, especially with your love life, you're going to find as Saturn goes direct, the pressure points are already coming up in your romance house because of your zodiac. But I do see the love yourself first. It's like, you know, you can feel a little bit down. You've got all this passion and this love that you're going, which is more your element of control. It's your career, it's your money, it's home changes, you know. But at the same time, these niggling energies come up and you just want to, you know, you want to throw a verbal G-bomb at it. You know what I mean? It's like, you just want to say it. You know, the astrology is guiding you correctly, but it's also to sit, to tune in. When something comes up, to look at it. It doesn't mean that there's no movement, but it is a very emotional and frustrating time at the moment between both energies. I do feel the silence will be broken, but at the moment it's a very testing situation for you to go through, especially because I feel it's almost like the notion of your fear that maybe that person's moved on, and they're, you know, I'm not feeling that, but it is that fear that can be so, I get upset. Yeah, it was better out than in, right? And you're better to do that. And, you know, if you need to be toxic, you can do the pots and pans, or you can do the go for a run. And that's how I used to transmute a lot of the sacral chakra energy, because it's a joint energy, right? So if we're feeling angry, I mean, red traffic light, what are we wanting to get out of the situation? Go to the heart space. How are you feeling? You know, especially when we're so used to people not listening to us and feeling abandoned, we can actually honor and say to ourselves, well, how does this make me feel? This makes me feel angry when this person isn't understanding everything I've had on my plate. I really wish I could have help. That was one thing during this transit already I'm noticing, is that I am being really honest with things, what I can and can't do. Again, Libra, the scales, it's health, and it's, so yes, there's a lot happening, but if you build it, they will come. Look at the theory that way. And by doing such, you can realize that you're very purposeful with your energy. And so using it ineffectively in emotional kind of situation, it's like you can manifest a lot quicker when you pour it into things that you do have in your control. I do feel this silence is going to stop, but it's a little bit like poker face energy, but it is causing anger and anxiety. Who is the next person? Cha, how you doing, doll? I swear your twin keeps entering into my head, so there's something going on with your twin at the moment, and it's because I keep seeing them at the beach. There is an emotional upheaval at the moment with them. I also feel it's almost like, what zodiac sign is he, Cha? Oh, I just bit down. That hurt. Not that there's anything there, but you know. Are they Aries? I can't remember now. Is he an Aries? Because I get this vibe, Aquarius. Oh, heck. Yeah, well. Yes, it makes sense. Let's have a look at their chart. Okay, third house. Yeah, it is communication. It's the daily routine. There's tension points. The tension point also is in the value system, okay? It could be the kids and education, location, proximity. This also can be a sudden move, okay? It can be the need to go somewhere at a drop of a hat. But I do feel it's almost like this urgency is to reconnect with you and where they are to travel directly towards you. But the funny thing is, because I keep seeing the element of water, I do feel it's relating to emotion and their deep emotions, kind of like being held in a vault, but they really want to see you at the moment. So this emotion that's coming up is because the person potentially could be traveling to the area. It may be due to work, but it's also, even if they're feeling just that element of frustration due to the location of where they live and what situation they're in, the shadow of such is focusing on the past with you and how that is emotionally feeling to them, that situation is directly out of their control. But it can come back into their control. And I keep seeing them, you know, I do see a lot of rain every time I'm tuning in. And I know with Dawn the last few months, really, I'd been seeing, you know, situations happening in the kitchen. And yes, it did actually play out. Sometimes these energies can build. I'm seeing your twin though with a lot of dark water. You know, it's dark, it's quite emotional. They're turning up at your door. So they are playing this situation over in their heads, but I do feel it's actually quite close. Staff meeting, good one. Okay, Char. Emmy doll, how you doing, doll? Did you like my big face? That's okay, Char. How's your health going, Emmy doll? How's your health going? As above, as below. It did get really puffy the other day. I think it was worse yesterday. It goes up and down, but, you know, overall, not too bad. Oh, yeah, I got appointments all month. It's great. It's beautiful. Libra be in the thick of it at the moment. Taurus as well. Look after your health. You don't want, it's funny because your vibe at the moment is you're ready to get back out there, but you're willing to get everything done. It's funny because I don't see you necessarily wanting to hide at home. It's like you're wanting to get a mission. Other people may be, you know, there's certain people you don't want to see. Thanks, Giggle. I'll get there in a tick. There's certain people you don't want to see. And you're like, you could actually be having some friends that are coming back from the past and you're like, I don't really miss you. Oh, heck. It's like, do we have to go over old Gran? I don't feel they have any evil intent, I feel they do love you, but you've outgrown it. And it's okay to revisit it and say, hey, look, no hard feelings. We're different people. And hey, you may actually bounce it off, but it doesn't necessarily feel that you want to hide. I do feel this playful energy coming back in you, which is a little bit, okay, I'm just going to say it could be spiteful and stirry, but it's in a playful, loving manner. It's not in a toxic manner. Photograph again. Look, it could be the notion of if that person is in a karmic relationship. If they're not, I don't know. They're receiving my text messages. So it's like, whatever. You know, that's kind of the vibe, how it's coming through. So you're like, aren't you, mama? I'm going to be me. You got this playful kind of frequency coming through. Look, it can come through more so by the second week, but you're kind of looking at the bigger picture of once you're feeling in a better vibration, oh God, some of these songs that I come up with these psychic downloads, your guides are funny. Do you have a loved one that passed over that was an absolute comedian? Because when they pop in to communicate my messages to you, it's cheeky. And I just saw something go past then. I heard, and this was the song Who Let the Dogs Out, but it was Who Let the Cats Out. That's what I mean, okay? Emmy doll. Your guides are funny. They have a sense of humor. So it's either a grandmother, a grandfather, somebody. It feels a male, but it is such a funny energy. I'm hearing I'm gonna get you good, but it's more what you're doing. It could be, but they're amused by it. But you guys have a similar kind of sense of humor. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, who let the cats out? They're also saying Catwoman, but you're probably going to move into this vibration of this brand new way of being. You know, it's not necessarily the new hair, it's the vibe. It's embodying the vibe, as within, as without. You just want to play, you want to have fun, you want to live light. You could be getting your diet and your health in order, but it's naughty and playful. I'm just going to leave it at that. You're ready for it. Hi, Victoria. Let me tune into your... What part's going on, Victoria? Everything is the penny little, the sky's falling down. It does feel like that this month, doesn't it? That's okay. It's so funny, Emmy doll. Like, your energy is hilarious at the moment. It's so naughty. I like it. I so dig it. Life's too short. Gotta have fun. What would you like to know, my sweet? What's going on? What are you trying to tackle at the minute? I'm trying to can't speak now, Mercury. Are you trying to tackle something in particular? Do you want me to look at your zodiac, you know, to kind of guide you through a hurdle? You don't know which way at the moment. You're beginning to explore. It's like at the minute you're really confused by everything. It just feels all too much. You don't know how to look at it. You don't know what to think. You might even want to go into hermit mode for a little bit. Oh, yeah, it's just, it's almost like you just want to go and hide for a minute because you just, yeah, there's these old emotions coming up. That's what I'm physically seeing. It's not necessarily that everything's terrible. It's just you don't want to deal. At the moment, it's all too much. But the good thing is, if you can take a moment for yourself, you're actually going to become more productive and your vibration's potentially going to raise. So if you are forcing yourself to avoid an emotion or a feeling, it's kind of like we're delaying the inevitable. So this balance, anything that's coming up, it's almost like just honor it. Honor what's coming up and look at it, because I don't see it being a permanency in a sense of a stress. But it can be that you just... Yeah, you just feel nothing's working. You don't want to repair everything for everyone. There's been too many problems, so it has just reached that pivotal point. A lot of times we get to that when we're exhausted or when we're having ascension symptoms, but at the moment it feels you just don't want anyone around you. What you could do is, if we can rest, that's going to help. But at the same time, it's like breaking out of that old stagnant routine. But just be patient with yourself because, like I said, I'm seeing it's not going to be a permanent problem. It's just a pothole that you feel you're moving through at the moment. So because you've found you've been hitting walls so often, it's almost like we get to that point where we're saying, what do we do? Sometimes what universe is actually saying is you're going too fast, which is kind of a compliment. But we don't see it like that at the time. And it is actually ripening your manifestations just by sitting. It sounds crazy. Does that make sense? I hope that lands. Yeah, it's the monkey mind saying that things are... But it's showing that it's going to be fine. But right now how you feel is everything's going to Hades. And it's all too hard. Okay? But it's those self-fulfilling prophecies, they're habits. It's almost like, oh, whenever something good happens, something bad happens. It's like, do not say that. Bad things happen. Look around you. I had my tooth excavated. Yeah, I'll be able to do the videos and, you know, I'll have them out on time and all good notion, right? Mercury retrograde. It's good things happen. And bad things happen to good and bad people. And as you see here in the chat, you know, we have our good days and we have our bad days. It just happens to be for you. It's just such an exhaustion point that once we learn that we can just listen to ourselves and go, this has been horrendous, and just honor that truth and go, this has not been fun. There's got to be a better way. By stepping back from that painting and maybe just having a 2.5 break and going, hey, it's okay. You know, is life defined by this one moment? No. But it's okay to be patient with yourself, especially if everyone's wanting everything from you and suddenly stepping back and going, I'm just not going to do the dishes. I'm going to eat some popcorn and I'm going to watch a movie and take a moment. That's perfectly fine too. Okay? But it is going to pass. It's passing. Who's next? Is it Giggle? But it is going to pass still. So what was the question, Giggle? There was a... It's got to be comical. You're a Libra. I'm getting to a point I couldn't give two poops. And a pickle... Please tell me there's some good news coming. Well, considering I know, good news, okay, where can I pick some good news for you? You want me to pick you some good news? Number one, you will find you can wait till next month. No, I'm just joking. In what aspect? Okay, from your twin flame, I know they're an Aries. So right now for Aries, the critique, something about them as a person is changing. Number two, it is a new moon in Libra coming up, and with Libra being retrograde in Mercury, it is becoming confusing in karmic relationships for Aries masculines. So from that notion, although it's a new moon, the only way you can have a new beginning is by ending a cycle. Now, that can be directly transforming it and changing it. You're also going to find for Libras, moving through this month can be emotional because we're having to close a spiritual chapter when it does come to self-fulfilling prophecies and wounds relating to our love life. And that's because we're having a full moon in Libra. So for both you and your twin, you've got that shadow energy going on of, you know, where you're looking at your own lives individually in order to reach that union. Now, the beautiful thing is you're non-codependent. And Aries cannot handle failure. And it's not so much failure, it's they need their autonomy. They don't do codependency. It doesn't mean they don't get into codependent connections, usually because they're quite go-getters. You know, they have very high benchmarks of what they need to be in their life. And that's a real tension point at the moment for Aries zodiac sign, is that, you know, the fear can be they're doing everything in vain. The fear and the frustration can be relationships aren't respecting them and they're having that, you know, crap going on. But for you, closure, I honestly am about to give up on him. Well, it's about healing as well. It's not necessarily giving up, it's healing, because automatically speaking, when we're giving up, it's like nobody's asking us to hold on. It's the psychic connection, and the psychic connection is going to be there whether we say we don't necessarily have to say we're going to do something, because it's actually not true. It will naturally just happen and we won't be angry. So I think at the moment with Mercury retrograde, it's bringing these wounds up. And it's making them frustrating because we haven't seen physical movement. But again, because we do have the full moon in Aquarius, there can be that closing point there, particularly. See, again, because we're thinking about it and wanting to do something, we're wanting the movement. And again, it's okay to... But there is this feeling that, yeah, obviously there's a date with everything, right? There is a feeling of a time frame, but it's okay to just simply say, hey, you know, that's not attractive to me. Or, hey, I'm bloody fed up of this person never being here. I have needs too. But a lot of the old emotions and conversation pieces are coming through, but there is a very strong connection here regardless. So it's funny, address your addictions. The addictions can be the things we think in our mind. And I mean, automatically speaking, if we've reached closure and we're at peace, naturally we're going to attract a connection into our life. But it's also by feeling that, you know, maybe the fear is that we feel we can't. So universe is saying at the moment you're sending them 2 vibrations. Okay. In one vibration, you're saying the spiritual connection is very, very close. You know, it makes you smile. You love it. You have these conducive feelings. In the other, it feels addictive and you're psychoanalyzing it and saying this is unhealthy to me. So universe is saying you need to look at the truth and the fair, and then to get to a place that you do become that clear channel. Okay, I'm going to love you and leave you because I've just had a family member message me. I'll have to leave you. I have a family dynamic going on, and I will come through and see you guys later. Love and light. Take care.